What's up, guys? Keith O'Neill here. Just for starters, if you hear any snoring, that's my dog. She's right here, and she snores very loudly, so I apologize for that. On top of that, I do apologize for the time of submitting this assignment. Obviously, everyone is going through a lot of change with their personal lives and their professional lives, and I'm one of those who's going through that same effect. I'm in the process of moving into a new apartment, so it kind of my time getting things changed and getting internet set up and all this stuff like that. It's been a hassle, but I'm here to turn it in and get the assignment done. So let's dive right in. Just a little information about myself. I grew up in Beaumont, Texas. That is on the Gulf Coast border, or the Gulf Coast, near the Gulf Coast, Mexico. Excuse me. I'm right by the Louisiana border, at least 45 minutes away. I came up to Missouri back in 2010 on a football and track scholarship from Missouri Valley College, where I received my bachelor's degree. Ended up leaving there and kind of jumped into my first master's from the University of Missouri, and since then I kind of been I'm here now working on my second master's. So I live here in Kansas City, Missouri. A few things about me that I enjoy. I enjoy playing video games. I like the Xbox. Consider myself a nerd. uh, I like watching movies. I'm heavy with Netflix. I don't really watch, live television. I'm not a fan of live television. I love the sports, but I do watch a lot of movies and stuff in that fashion. Like I said, I like watching sports. Football is obviously a religion, and where I'm from in Texas, so that's kind of the same deal for me now. On top of that, and then my last thing, I just like being active, man. I'm a coach, so I think being active yourself helps you in your own coaching career. So I kind of portrayed it in my own life. Moving forward, this is my fourth year as an educator. I've taught in Missouri, I taught in Texas, I taught here in Kansas. So I've kind of been moving around a lot and just trying to, just building myself as an educator. I teach physical education. Right now, I'm the physical education teacher and strength and conditioning coach at FS Schlegel High School in Kansas City, Kansas. I am also a member of the coaching staff on the football coaching staff for FS Schlegel as well, where I was actually the offensive coordinator this past year. That was my first time in that role, and I learned a lot of good things, and it was very exciting and a great experience, and I can't wait to continue doing that. Just getting into the content. So, from what I got from the mindset portion of the articles we had to read, one thing that was stated that pointed out was the all students can learn. I believe that this should be a foundation of every teacher, not just a educational leader or a principal, but a teacher as well. You should have that mindset that every student should be able to come inside. At least this is what I'm taking from the article, from this information, is that every student should be able to come in and have the opportunity to receive a great lesson from an educator that's wanting to help them. And a building principal or leadership, a person of leadership should see this and uh, build off this foundation, make this their foundation when it comes to teaching education. Teachers' collaboration over isolation. This is basically was explaining the process of which teachers collaborating together can help increase the professional ability of an educator, whether that be the educator be new or old. It all works hand in hand when teachers can work together. Happiness and optimism. It was basically stating that the one thing that I took from that, it was stating that happiness and optimism should not be the precursor, but it should be it should be the result. So basically, uh, you should pretty much work your way through towards gaining that happiness in your profession, and that's exactly what I took from that. The dispositions. Obviously, to me, confidence is a big thing. As an educator and especially as a leader, you should hold the highest confidence within yourself because you are having people follow you through this journey. You're following you through this plan or process or this process that you're taking in order to lead them to being successful educators, extending that to the students and giving them the proper resources and everything they need to make sure that their educational journey is successful. Risk taker and being decisive. As a leader, you have to be able to take a risk. And I think that as educators, as teachers, we take risks on a daily basis anyway, due to the fact that we're always in a constant. We have to be on the ready to change our curriculum or change our objective for what we're doing, depending on what type of situation may happen within that classroom day or that classroom period time or whatever in that fashion. and you have to be firm to stick with it. All right, so that's a big deal when it comes to being a teacher or being a leader or an educator. A sense of humor is big. You don't want to be an educator or a leader who is serious, who is always serious. You tend to can have ability to not look human to those who follow you, and you can tend to have people who are, in a sense, uh, I don't want to say resent you, but do not want to take your leadership in the full capacity that they should, due to the fact that you don't have a sense of fresh air in your body, if you want to say. Empathy is a big deal. As educators and as leaders, we should always have the mindset to have an understanding that a lot of people are human, a lot of people deal with things, and we should have the patience and the understanding that, no, especially as educators, that patience should be our biggest deal, because we have to take the time to ensure that students, as not even students, but our educators, can get whatever task they need done at a timely fashion, at their timely fashion, and not make it a rushed process. So having a sense of empathy, having a sense of care for your employees, and a sense of care for your students as well is a major deal. And the last thing would be learners. As educators, we're already classified as lifelong learners. I'm a firm believer of that as well. Excuse me. I'm a firm believer of that as well. And I also think that, this is heavy for your own educators, because we want to be able to perfect our craft, and that requires us, excuse me, to learn more material and stay more modernized with our own profession and within education, as well as being leaders as well. Practices, focus and prioritizing. This is a major deal. You have to be focused. You have to be and firm on the clear objective of what you want to. What are you trying to accomplish for the people that you're choosing to lead, as well your students? Examining feedback and data. This is a real big deal for any educator and any administrator as well, because the data is what a lot of schools live off of. You have to have data to understand if a student is reaching his mastery level in content. You have to have data to understand that your educators are on the right line of teaching the correct curriculum, and make sure that the students are successfully retaining the information and being able to process and take it in and regurgitate it out to the public. And the last thing is emotional intelligence. You have to maintain a sense of emotional stability while doing this profession, because a lot of things can go on with being teachers, with upset students, upset parents, maybe disagreements with your own coworkers. You have to be able to put those things aside and come to school every day and come to work every day with the mindset of being successful for your students, as well for your coworkers and the people that you lead if you're an administrator. The principles are just cut through and dry to me. You have to have courage when you're doing these things. I'm pretty sure, I believe every teacher that does these things have a major courage in themselves, because we're in front of students every day, no matter what the age limit is, excuse me, and we're teaching them new materials or new skill sets that they can take into their own personal lives, and hopefully mold them into maybe being lifelong learners just as well as we are. Public interest and ahead of self. This is a key thing that I feel like if you're a teacher or educator, this is the main reason why you're educated, because you place the public before your own self interest, and that's important with being a educator. Self control and discipline, like I stated before, as educators, we have to have a great sense of discipline in our own self. We have to have the great sense of self control, because we'll be dealing with a lot of different emotions from different people, so different age groups, from students to coworkers. So this is important. Task and employee centeredness. We have to be able to have things organized and ready for and not only have our students prepared and ready, but make sure that our educators are prepared and ready in the long run as well, because they are the students are the extension of the educators. And if the educators do not have everything taken care of, then it trickles down to the students. Recognizing talent. You have to understand that, I understand this in reading this information, that you have to understand that talent, you want the talent, excuse me. But as an administrator, you want to pretty much give those people praise who are doing a high job or high excel job for their students and for those around them, in hopes of doing this praise, that this will recollect to everyone else in the facility, or on your staff members, that maybe that will push them to want to give their best effort, and maybe become recognized by the administrator. So this is very major for an administrator to do, and a person who's in a leadership role. Require high ethics for everyone. You have to be able to establish ethics not only for yourself, but even you have to also recognize the ethics that others have. Not just the educators, but the students as well, and everyone who's under your leadership within the facility that you're leading. This is main to make sure that this is clear and expected and understanding, and then sensitivity and understanding and inclusiveness. You have to, and the most part of being an educator, we have to understand that we're working with students and we're working with people who come from different lines of backgrounds and different lines of areas of life. And it's important to make sure that they are well off. We're not well off, but they're safe, they're comfortable in their own workplace, and the students are safe, they're comfortable in their educational environment. So you have to be, as a leader, you have to be sensitive. You have to understand that people deal with different things, and you have to and demonstrate that understanding by being there for them and teaching them, showing them that you yourself are human. Um, Digging into my own personal mindset, just getting the information from there. Like I said, I agree with the whole aspect of all students can learn. I think that's the whole principle of me being an educator. That I want all my students that come in contact or come in my class that they take something. It might not be everything that I teach them, but if they can take something and apply it to life, that is a major thing for myself. And I really strive to kind of reach that goal every year, and every semester, and every class day with my students. Teachers collaboration. I'm a real big team player. I was a high excel athlete in high school, high excel athlete in college, and I take that same mentality in my own work, my own professional lifestyle, which being a team player with everyone else. So I try to be extended hand to those coworkers who I work with and work around. I try to make sure that I'm visible, I'm present, and I'm there for everyone's help, not just the students, but those teachers that are teaching core subjects, because I understand that I am an elected subject teacher and I can do a lot more just teaching physical education in the school. Happiness and optimism. I personally disagree with what the article was stating. It was saying that basically your happiness should be the result. I'm a firm believer that you should start off happy and enjoying what you're doing. You should love what you're doing. As everyone been told before, if you love what you're doing, it won't be considered a job. It will be considered something that's just a part of your daily life. So you should be happy to be an educator. You should be happy to be in a position to teach young adults to and help young adults prepare themselves for the future in the long run. This is a major deal for their own lifestyles and a major deal as an educator. Different in personal dispositions. Obviously confidence is major for me, especially in the line of work I do. I'm in front of students. I'm a coach. I'm in front of parents. I'm in front of administrators. So I have to demonstrate that confidence and demonstrate that leadership quality to show that I am someone who you can easily trust and follow. I view myself as a risk taker. I feel like that. I'm willing to try new things and try out things that would help only if it benefits my students. Sense of humor, man. If you were that's one of the bright things about myself as an educator. I tell everybody, I view myself different from their traditional educators. I'm more of a, I'm younger. I'm more vibrant. I like doing fun things. I like making the kids laugh. I like making the kids smile, interesting them in learning more about physical education, and maybe inspiring them to maybe wanting to become in the position that I am as an educator myself. I view myself a person who has great empathy for everyone. I tell myself, I have a heart, and I demonstrate by having a heart by not just being an educator for my students and being a great coworker, but a mentor for my students and being a friend for the coworkers that I work with. That is very important. The last thing would be learning. I view myself as a lifelong learner. Obviously, this is my second master's. And I'm trying to advance myself in my own craft, in my own professional environment. And in order to do that, you have to continue to learn and grow with the environment that you're engraving yourself in. So this is important. Practices, I always remain focused. I make sure I prioritize very well because I'm dealing with students and I'm dealing with coworkers who need this, and to show that we won't fall off task. I keep up with data with my own strength conditioning classroom. The data is good for me because it allows me to see what students progressed and maybe probably progressed very very well, or maybe they had took a decrease in something, and I can see that, I can point it out, and I can show my students the same thing. And this emotional intelligence, for the most part, I feel like with me being very healthy and me being active, I can maintain the mental state to be very emotionally sound. Uh, far as principles wise, I agree with everything on these principles. I'm a person of courage. I believe in recognizing things when recognizing talent what talent is due. Just as a major deal with my own personal life that I agree with. My reference.